Well, hello there. It's good to be back. So, I think I'm going to do something a bit more on dyads today. Dyads are just two-note chords. They feature quite a lot in Williams in The Empire Strikes Back. And I've been going through some of the material that we've got. And they turn up in roughly 20 cues as quite a significant device. And there are three sorts of device. One is a modulating device. The second is to do with ambiguity, which actually the first one's also to do with ambiguity, but generally tends to be sort of major or minor thirds. And the last one is the major second to minor third or major second to major third as well. He also uses minor seconds as well, but that kind of seems less relevant to what I want to talk about today. So the modulatory aspect is interesting because he tends to do it when there are two very, very different ideas. So we're in tenement 3 Chewy Chokes Lando. So it's all of this sort of, Bespin dirge stuff, which is characterized by this. Like that, which is an outgrowth of the Boba Fett thing. So between that and this idea, which is just literally very atonal, all of that, he uses a dyad on G. So you'll notice that one of the notes is G. He's then got a G and A, which is just held. I mentioned it in the last video, actually. So that's quite significant. It's also a short long, which is another sort of rhythmic device that he uses. So it's a dyad at a modulation point. The next one I've got on my list is 5M4, 6M1. So let's try and get to that. Here we go. And this is at bar 24. So another modulation point. And again, between two very different sets of music. So we've had this at this point. It's Solo and the Princess. It's a Melodicus Interruptus. Yeah. So again, what happens is that he reaches a target note and then he includes a dyad over the top of it. So, I mean, the dyad could be there or below. And then he adds a counterpoint to the end. So in other words, it's used as a linking device from one set of material to another set of material. And you can see that actually that the new set of material is rather different from the other one. We've just had one layers theme. Descending bass. And then ambiguity. Semitonal shift. Yeah, so we get a sort of linking passage between that and the Imperial March that's just come up. So another sort of idea of a link. The next one is 2M2, bar 23. So we can find that as well. Here we go. It's Ben's instructions. And here we go, a classic ambiguous dyad. So here it is again. So let's just go from the beginning of this. So this is Ben's instructions in the Hoth sequence just after he escapes in the Wampa. So that's interesting. So here he's using it as another linking device. So we've had this triplet sort of figure in 6/8. He's now in a completely different time signature, let alone key signature, where we've had quite flat keys, and he's now got this. So it's actually part of a sort of G7 type chord, except that just disappears. So in our ears, we're going from here, this sort of F, D flat F. And again, this that sort of tritone idea is actually quite common. So he's got the G not from the previous bar. So I suppose we've got the F here. So that's the continuity. So now he's going above the note. And now we get into some completely different material. So more dyads, actually. And another dyad. As well. So it's a deliberate avoidance of triadic work. And the reason being is that it allows dialogue to take place, and it also allows a sort of treading water, sort of stasis. And that's really important as well. So in this case, we've also got fifths as well. So it's not always just the major second, but the major second is used as a linking device to get away from one key area in order to get to another key area by using untraditional means. So normally, you might sort of use a diminished seventh or some other sort of device, augmented sixth, that sort of thing, and maybe go to an irregular resolution. But this is just a way of adding, and also they're quite long note values as well in all the examples we've just seen. So that's the sort of first device of the dyad. The second one tends to be sort of thirds. Now we've seen thirds in quite a bit of Williams's work. They're all over the Phantom Menace. So just a sort of cursory glance, as you can see, if we just hone in on all of this material, all of this is third sixth. It's the same thing, it's just an inversion. Very, very slight change, but that happens quite a lot. And even in the choral moments, we also see thirds. As well. There's quite a lot of that going on. And even here, that gets a bit more triadic. But then he does go back into the dyadic moments. Like that as well. So he uses it as a sort of emphasis point and also sort of creating a sort of stark quality as well. We also hear it in the violins at this point as well. So, yeah, as we can see in Phantom Menace, quite a lot of that is used. I'm going to get rid of that at that point because I've got a lot of windows open at this point. So let's have a look at some others as well. So let's go to 9M6, 10M1 carbon freeze. I'm not quite sure why I put a colon at that point. That's a bit annoying. But this is another example of dyads, but not necessarily using major second dyads. So here he ends up on a long chord. So we just had Harnonet's theme highlighted in yellow. Wonderful chord, F sharp minor at 9. G7 above F sharp. Really a big appoggiatura. So just a single note at this point. Now dyads happening. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. So how have we got there? So we're ending up on a note. So it seems as though could it be that? We don't know. Is left deliberately ambiguous? So we're having a third here. The sixth, which again, as I've said, is an inversion of the third. Back to the third. Now it becomes triadic. As well. So it's a way of getting out of one thing to another. At this point, this is when Lando is checking the settings of Han's sort of being frozen in carbonite. So let me close that one. Let's see if we can find some other ones. Yes, so 8M2. So let's go. City in the Clouds is this particular one, and this is bar 20. So we're going all the way here. And this is a sort of melodicus interruptus moment. So, lots of passion going on here in Harnonet's theme again. Sort of Neapolitan emergency type. So it just sort of suddenly appears. So a completely different material, and now this sort of derived motif that Boba Fett has. But we seem as though we're in B flat minor, but we're not sure. So we could be doing that, but it could be all sorts of anywhere else. So it's left deliberately ambiguous. And in this case, we do have yes, B flat. Again, it's difficult to see it at that point. So we do have a note in common with the previous area, and also the overlap with the A is now another dyad, this time a third, and lots of dyads in terms of thirds. So let's just run it just from this bar so you can see the link. We have a sort of ladder of thirds as well. So we've got F and A, bum bum. And then it goes into a complicated harmony at that point. So again, a useful sort of linking device at that point. No need to do that. So what other ones have we got? So we've also got 9M3 bar 4. Yes, so at this point we've got a little solo, very sad oboe, where 3PO is being he's been demolished, he's being put back together again. So it's another sort of form of neutrality. Like that. It's very clever. So we've just got sort of thirds, the odd second, and then major second to major third. Like that, which is another recurring device actually in this particular film, where we have that sort of idea, which happens quite a lot. It's a good way of using dyads as well, in order to not necessarily give the game away. So again, it's sort of a kind of treading water moment at this point. So that's an interesting one. Let's see what else we've got. So let's go sort of from Yoda raises the ship. So yes, this is another interesting one. This happens all the way through the Dagobah, so I'll probably only show one of these instances. But look at all of these major seconds. So tremolo. Just in scales. Above another major second. As well. Sorry about all of that sort of horrendous hammering away. So a good example of deliberately obscuring some sort of, any hint of a very specific tonality. Like that. It's just a big scale, I suppose. So that is that one. And then I think there's another Yoda one. That sort of idea as well in the Magic Tree. We've already seen that particular one. And we've seen that one as well. And we've also seen that as well. What have we got left over? So this is a good example of the asteroid field, which we have our major second to major third. And we'll also see that actually the lots of thirds at this moment before. Almost octatonic. Actually, double harmonic minor. So here, to get out of that, he goes immediately into these thirds, and then eventually triads as well. So another way of sort of getting out of one idea into another idea. A sort of very clever way of doing it, which doesn't necessarily involve material from either at that point. That was exactly the same, that 6M2 bit. So yeah, occasionally we also see, this this idea. And again, Piccolo's doing that sort of major second. It's quite sort of cartoonish as well. There's definitely a hint of that that goes throughout. So yeah, I mean, I just sort of thought it would be interesting just to do a sort of quick overview of those features. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back again.